Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you the books that I'm planning on reading in November. I've been doing really good at sticking to my monthly TBRs, which I'm so excited about because I've never been able to do that. But this month's TBR is probably going to be one of my favorites. There's so many books on here that I just think I'm gonna love. They kind of all fit together a little bit. For some reason, in the month of November, I really like to read fairy tale, folk tale, inspired fantasy. Most of these kind of fit into that category. All of them except for I think 2 are fantasy. So let's just get into the books that I'm gonna read. The first one is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I want to read this so badly. If you don't know, Spinning Silver, also by Naomi Novik, is probably going to be my favorite book of the year. I loved it so much, and prior to reading that I didn't really have any interest in reading Uprooted just because I've heard a lot of mixed things about it, but now that I know I love Naomi Novik's writing so much, I just cannot wait to read this. I really don't know much about it other than there's like a slow burn romance. I don't know anything about it really, let's be honest. I'm just so excited to read this. The next book is one that I have been meaning to read. I've had this book since 2016, and that is The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. I believe this was even on my end of the year TBR last year, and I still haven't gotten to it. And this trilogy is ending really soon, so now I feel like it's the perfect time to pick this up. Also, I just recently read Katherine Arden's new middle grade book, and I enjoyed it, but I feel like I'm gonna like this a whole lot more. So this is basically a fantasy based on Russian folk tales. That's all I know about it. A lot of people actually say that if you like Naomi Novik, you'll like Katherine Arden. So hopefully I love both of these. The next one is a book by an author who I recently read and loved so much, and that is Tessa Gratton's The Queens of Ennis, Lear. I recently read Strange Grace by Tessa Gratton and I loved it so much. I'm buddy reading it with a bunch of people. It is a retelling of King Lear, and it is about 3 sisters who are all vying for the throne, and it just sounds so good. I know that there's a lot of books with this similar concept of like X amount of sisters fighting for the crown, and honestly I don't care how many there are. I love it. It's a trope that I love so much and I will read every single time, and I just can't wait. I hope it's as amazing as Strange Grace. The writing in that was so great. The next one is The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. This is a retelling of the Iliad, and it takes place during the Trojan War and follows the point of view of Briseis, and I'm so excited. I just love anything that has to do with the Trojan War. It's a story that I just find so interesting, and I will read and watch any adaptation of it. This was my book of the month pick for September, and I did start reading it and I was really loving it, and I cannot wait to dive back in and finish it. So the next 3 are all arcs I have that come out in November. The first one is Archenemies by Marissa Meyer. This is the sequel to Renegades, which I read earlier in the year and I really like. This series is about a bunch of superheroes and supervillains, and it's just a whole lot of fun. I definitely like this series more than I liked the Lunar Chronicles, so I'm excited to read this sequel and find out what happens to these characters. This series reminds me of Sky High, which is a movie that I loved so much when I was a kid. The next one is another sequel to a book that I read and loved, and that is Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix by Julie C. Dow. This is the sequel to Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, which was one of my favorite books of last year, and that was a Snow White evil queen origin story, and this book picks up exactly where that left off, and we're following the Snow White character. I mentioned this previously in a video that I'm a little bit hesitant to read this because it's not being told in the point of view of the same main character from Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, and I loved that main character so much. So I am nervous, but I have faith in Julie, and I'm just excited to see where this goes. The next arc I have is Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri, and this is an Indian-inspired fantasy about a girl who has magic in her blood. Her powers catch the eye of the Emperor, and she has to try to figure out how to avoid them using her magic for their agenda. And if she fails, the gods might awaken and seek vengeance. And this just sounds so good, and I've really been wanting to read this ever since I first heard about it, and I'm just so excited to dive into this month. The next one I don't own a physical copy of yet, but I did pre-order it, and that is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha and Young. I don't know too much about this book, but from what I do know, it is an Own Voices Asian-inspired fantasy about girls who are forced to become the king's concubines, and one of the girls, our main character, she ends up falling in love with another girl. And from what I know, this book is very kind of heavy and dark because it is about trauma and rape culture. I'm really excited to read this. I've heard nothing but amazing things, and it just sounds like it's going to be a really great fantasy. And then the last book I have also pre-ordered, and that is Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend, and that is the sequel to Nevermore, which I read earlier in the year, and it's probably my all-time favorite middle grade book ever. This book was just so much fun, and it gives me the same feeling that I have when I read Harry Potter. Obviously they're very different. I'm not gonna say that this is like the new Harry Potter, but there's this certain feeling I get every time I read a Harry Potter book, and I think a lot of other Harry Potter fans can kind of agree with that there's just this feeling you get reading those books that no other books have ever given me. But I got that same feeling with this book, and it's just so magical and fun. It follows a girl named Morgan Crow who is cursed, and she's always known that on her 11th birthday she was going to die. Her 11th birthday comes up, and instead of dying, she gets whisked away to this world called Nevermore, and she gets to compete in these trials to join the Wonders Society, and there's a lot of secrets, and just it's so much fun, and I have been waiting for the sequel. I cannot wait. I pre-ordered it like months ago, and I finally just got my email that it's gonna be delivered to me soon. So I can't wait. So those are all the books that I'm planning on reading in November. Let me know if you are also going to be reading any of these books, or if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!